Hello everyone, welcome to this SUPboarder video where I'm going to be talking to you about how to progress the fastest in foiling as a beginner. And I'm also going to be touching on the new Armstrong Step One system as well, because everything on that foil setup epitomizes what you need to look for as a beginner. Now, foil development has really moved fast over the last few years and there's a lot of choice out there. There's also a lot of trending foils, a lot of really high performance foils that are very much the buzz at the moment that everybody is talking about. And it's really important that those types of foils are really not the sort of foils you should be pushed towards as a beginner. Of course, it's great to watch all these videos and really find out what other foilers are using, but a lot of this kit really is going to slow your progression down, whether you want to get into downwind sup foiling, sup surf foiling, winging, power winging. Really, with any discipline, the first steps into foiling are very important, and if you want to progress the fastest, a good foil setup is key to making that progression as quick and as easy as possible. So in this video, I'm going to list and go through the things you need to think about and be aware of when you go to buy a foil, giving you the reasons why you need to be thinking about these things as well. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a rundown of a very good foil setup that does all of these things, the new Armstrong Step One system. As always guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you find it interesting and informative. Please comment, like, subscribe and share it. Also check out the main SUPboarder Mag website. There's tons of information about foiling and supping on there. And also if you're really keen on supping and foiling, check out SUPboarder Pro, our subscription service where we've got extra features including the Ask the Experts email, which is where you can email us infinite number of questions about certain technique or the best kit for you, and we will get back with some completely honest, impartial information to make sure you improve the fastest or get that perfect kit that you need right now. Back to the video. So the things you need to think about with a foil as a beginner. You need to be thinking about early and smooth lift, stable flight, a good stiffness in the foil, durable and suitably engineered, some sort of breach warning, a good stabilizer design, a nice price point that isn't going to break the bank, and good forward compatibility, allowing you to upgrade and change that foil as you progress and get better in foiling. Now let me jump into what I mean by those things and why you should be thinking about them. Early and smooth lift. Well, this is very much the start of your foiling journey. When you first start to foil, you first start to feel that flight underneath your feet. You need to make sure the foil is getting you up at a slower speed, but it's also incredibly smooth as it does it. So there isn't any jolty motions, or you don't have to put your foil in a certain position to get yourself up onto foil. If you're using it for a winging example, using it in lighter winds or allowing the foil to come up in lower speeds will be easier. Therefore, you want to be looking at the right size physical foil, the right area of the foil, a more low aspect ratio foil, and also having a foil with a bit more thickness than the maybe more on trend foils at the moment in their depth profile will be a lot easier to use as well. They will offer you a nice gradual pickup onto the foil. You can have a lot of things to think about when you start foiling. You might have to worry about your wing, you might be trying to catch a wave. So you really want to make sure that first early and smooth lift is really nice and comfortable. A good size foil that has a nice amount of area will make this a lot easier, and a lot of people are getting confused at the moment because a lot of the more performance-based foils are a lot smaller in their overall area. That will give you more speed, that will make it more maneuverable, but it's really not going to help you when you get up and fly for the very first time. Looking at stable flight, when you are flying, you want a foil that naturally has a very planted and comfortable feel. Again, very similar to early and smooth lift, a foil with a lower aspect ratio, a deeper profile, and also a longer fuselage will also help. Having a bigger gap between the front wing and the stabilizer will give you a much smoother ride. You really don't want a foil that's very twitchy and reacts at the subtlest of movements. You want a planted, stable foil that's easy to ride. Stiffness of your foil is probably one of the most underrated things, and it is probably a very big point that you will come across when you're looking at a cheaper price point foil. What I mean by stiffness is not really to do with the wing or the front wing or the stabilizer or even the fuselage. It's usually to do with how the bottom section of the foil is attached to the mast and the mast attached to the board. If you've got a wobble from side to side, you're going to have to be compensating for that wobble in the foil as you're up and flying. A very wobbly foil really is not going to help you get up and fly for the first times. And also, as you progress and you push into foiling even more and doing tighter turns, trying to do pumps, that stiffness is going to be more key to making sure you have a good responsive foil. Now talking about foils being durable and suitably engineered. What do we mean by that? Well, as a beginner, you are, as I said, going to have a lot of things to think about. A foil needs to be able to handle a few knocks, a few scrapes, a few dings. It will happen, especially if you're getting into wing foiling, you're having to deal with the wing, moving into the water, maybe trying to dodge a few rocks. Again, sup surfing, getting off the water. How deep is your foil? Just generally using your foil and getting to understand that the foil is deeper under your board, you are going to end up hitting it. So you do want a foil that isn't going to fall apart or delaminate after a few knocks. A good, well-made foil is going to be much better for that. Also, well-engineered. Well-engineered not only in the way that it works, but the way it's been put together. The way the screws and the bolts and all the threads have been put into the foil, the fuselage, the mast. When you first get into foiling, and I was very much in this camp, I didn't really do very much maintenance. I came off the water, took my foil off my board, and I went home and left it until the next week until I wanted to go foiling again. Well, with a lot of brands, you do need to really concentrate on how the foil is put together and making sure you have the right amount of grease or Tef gel on the threads, making sure you take your foil apart because corrosion can happen. So it's really around the maintenance side of foils that you need to be aware of, and there are definitely better foils, and the Step One setup is a prime example of this, where everything is engineered so you can be a bit more lazy with it. You haven't really got to worry about taking it apart after the session. And there are some foils where if you don't take it apart within 2 hours, the foil starts sticking and there is corrosion between stainless and aluminium. It's in salt water, it's a pretty hostile environment, so you are going to have to look after your foils, but generally having a foil you haven't really got to worry about so much. When you're a lower level, it's another headache you haven't got to worry about. Now let's talk about breach warning. What do we mean by that? Well, breaching is where the foil comes out of the water and then you will come crashing back down on top of the water again. It's where the foil gets too much lift and it carries on accelerating upwards. Foils that are designed for more of a beginner will have more of a breach warning. In effect, they will stop you from breaching so much. They will either slow down or become not as efficient in the top column of the water. So they will give you more chance to bring that foil back down and recover and keep on flying. You may even hear a little bit of noise, a little bit of cavitation before that foil starts to pop out of the water. Of course, some foilers are not going to want to have any sort of breach warning. If you're into freestyle, if you're into jumps, you're going to want a foil that's going to pop and accelerate as you pop out of the water. You're not going to want the foil to back down and lose its speed just as you start to go into your jump. It's a good example of where the more high aspect ratio foils, the freestyle foils, the foils that look really cool and there's lots of funky videos on the internet, they're not the sort of foils you want. You want stable, easy, comfortable, with a good amount of breach control. Something that slows down and allows you to realize, oh, I need to trim my foil a little bit lower. Looking at a good stabilizer design is key to bringing the whole of the foil together. And it does exactly what it says. It gives you stability. Having a bigger stabilizer will really help improve and get you jibing if you're winging. It will help your turns when you're sup surfing. Yes, you can go for smaller, thinner stabilizers, really small ones. They are the stabilizers that you will need and want to use when you're more advanced. But when you're a beginner, you want a well-designed, comfortable stabilizer that is just really easy to use, and it will really finish off the whole of your setup and make foiling so much easier. Moving on to price point, obviously it's a really big one, and for a lot of people that we've helped get into foiling, price is one of the top conversations. If you have loads of money, you can go and spend and buy top-end foils. But again, not always the top-end foils are the best foil for you. Just because it's the most expensive doesn't mean it's actually going to help you progress the fastest as a beginner. It is hard to make a good quality, cheap price point foil. You're going to see, like with the foils like this one, they are very competitively priced and they are from a top end brand like Armstrong, but you're still going to have to pay, you know, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 pounds for it. If you drop down to the 500, 600, 700 pounds, 600, 800 euros price point, that is a cheap price point foil. Yes, there could be some good ones out there, but potentially they may not tick all the boxes like I've just spoken about, being stiff, well engineered, durable. There's always a compromise when it comes to price point and the quality you're getting overall. And also forward compatibility. This also goes hands in hand with price point. You don't want to spend a lot of money on a foil and then realize you can't upgrade the front wing. You can't change the stabilizer. It's really important that whatever system you buy into from whatever brand, it allows you to be able to buy a separate front wing, a bigger wing to go out light wind winging, or a smaller wing maybe to start SUP foiling with, and just bolt it on and away you go. Definitely that is a real important one, and it goes hand in hand with price point. If you look at all of these things, getting into foiling is so much easier, and there is better equipment on the market now. When I first started foiling 8 years ago, definitely you didn't have much choice of the sort of gear you could use, and there really wasn't beginner foils. There was just one type of foil and a certain size, and that's what you used. Foils like this one have definitely made the progression and the learning curve getting into foiling way faster. We're really excited to see Armstrong come up with this Step One system for a number of reasons, really. Because Armstrong were very much an early player in the foil market, and they've always had top end quality finished and designed foils. And for a few years, to be fair, they definitely have been focusing more on the top end performance range of the market. And that's why this is really quite exciting, because all of their work and energy and knowledge about making fast, efficient foils that glide forever has been put into the Step One. At the end of the day, a brand that really is focusing on you having a good experience as a beginner and learning as fast as possible as a beginner is only going to keep you using their brand for longer. So it's in their interest to make the foil as easy as possible. Definitely the S1 epitomizes all of the things I've already spoken about. The stiffness, the glide, the flight, the durability, the interchangeableness, everything is being done for the beginner in mind with the S1. And the best thing about all of it is the price point. You can buy into an extremely high-end foil brand at a good competitive price point. You still get the titanium bolts, the well-engineered system, and you still have that compatibility to buy different front end foils, stabilizers to put on this system. With the S1 setup, you can get this in a wide range of different size front wings, mast lengths, fuselage lengths. You can also build your package, allowing you to really build the exact setup you want for whatever foiling discipline you're going to be needing. And of course, all of that is fully upgradable. So if somebody getting into foiling, you need to really be aware of the things I've listed already in this video. You need to think about those points, and a brand like Armstrong with the Step One system epitomizes all of those points. And this is definitely the type of foil setup you need to look into now to progress as fast as possible in foiling as a beginner. Any questions and comments, please let us know. My name is Ruben, and I will see you on another video real soon.